Hello. Today I want to do a vlog talking about War and Peace, the book, and how I have decided through all these events from starting from like last night to today to start reading it. And the short version is basically what happened was last night I was rewatching the Charlie Brown movie, the one that came out last year, the new one, and in the movie, in the cartoon, Charlie Brown has a book report, and his partner is the little redhead girl, and she's away, and he wants to do a really good job, pick the best book, and have an awesome book report, and win the gold star. Um, and so he goes up to Marcy, who's like a real smart kid, and through Peppermint Patty, he finds out that the greatest book ever written, in her opinion, is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. But in the story, it's funny because Peppermint Patty tells him that, and Peppermint Patty says it's called Leo's Toy Story by Warren Pierce or something like that. Anyways, so Charlie Brown found that out, went to the library, and he got it, and it was massive. It was like this big. The book was this big in the cartoon, and he actually used like I don't know what you call it, like a toboggan or something, to get it back home. Like he put it on the toboggan and he pushed it, and I think he rode it all the way home. It was fantastic. It was really, really cool. So then that weekend, he spent the whole weekend reading War and Peace, like reading it, and like he was up all night writing this book report, like 1,000 words about it, and watching him read it, spending the whole weekend reading it, and then Linus saw his book report and read it and said, "This is really insightful and awesome," and everything like that. And after watching all these events, it made me suddenly want to read War and Peace. And before watching the Charlie Brown movie, I had no urge to read it ever at all. Like the only thing I knew about it was from Seinfeld, where they had the thing where it's like they were talking about it, and they said like the original title for War and Peace was War, What Is It Good For? That's all I know from it. But that's not it. That's not a real fact. I think they made that up. Anyways, it never really interested me at all, except now, like, especially when Marcy said, like, there's a lot of great books, but the one that most people say is the best one is War and Peace. So, and then I started, the seed went into my head last night, and this morning I decided, you know what, and I started Googling War and Peace, and then some people were saying, oh, it's my favourite book, and I really enjoyed reading it, and it's on people's bucket list to read it and stuff like that, and I thought, let's do this. Like, I feel like I wanted to go buy it, and kind of like I could have just bought it online, but I was out this morning with my friend Han, and we went to this place called Sir Charles for another adventure. We went to get a cronut, a massive cronut. It was delicious, and afterwards I decided to go check out like an old secondhand bookstore or something like that, and hopefully find a copy of War and Peace. So I walked from the city all the way down, and I could have caught the tram, but I decided just to make a trip of it. I walked down Lygon Street, down Carlton, to this place called Alice's Bookshop, I think it is, or something like that. It's a secondhand bookstore. It's so cool. Like, all the books were like old, and it's like just the type of stuff I love. It's like awesome. Loved it. And they had a little section, because you know what's funny? Like, I went up to the counter. I tried looking for it first, but I couldn't find it in the classic section. And I went up to the counter and I asked, do you have War and Peace? And what was funny to me was, like, I normally would have said, if it was another book, I would have said something like, do you have a book that's called blah blah blah? But with War and Peace, when I said that, I just felt I didn't need to say a book called, because it's just so famous. Like, even I don't know anything about it, but I've heard of War and Peace. So I just said, do you have War and Peace? So that's just not that big of a deal, but I just thought I'd bring that up, because it's like just so famous that, you know, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, some things are famous enough that you don't need to specify, do you have a book called War and Peace? It's just like, do you have War and Peace? I just said that twice now. But you get what I mean, right? So she asked, and they didn't have it, but and the guy who, like, I think he either owns it or he was the manager at the time, he took me out the back. He said, we don't have it at the moment, but there's a section on Russian books and stuff like that. So I checked it out, and there was some stuff by Tolstoy, and I think there was a little book that was like his childhood. He wrote some stuff about his childhood, and I picked it up and I read it, just some passages from it, and it was really, really, really good. I really enjoyed reading it. Like, there's one thing that just stuck out of my mind. Like, he said he was thinking a lot as a kid. Like, he would think about, let's just make it up. Let's say he's thinking about oranges, and then he thought about, okay, now I'm thinking about oranges, and then he said, now I'm thinking about oranges. You know, like he wrote that, and that's the kind of thing that you would see in like a comedy movie or something like that. But he actually was being serious about it, because he actually thought about it. But it was just reading it. It was like really, really, I don't know how to describe it. It's on like another level. Like, I think when you read his stuff, you'll realize that, well, especially from this childhood book, whatever. But yeah, I didn't buy that one. I wanted to buy War and Peace, and a specific copy as well, because I did some reading before, and I found out that some people's favorite copies is because there's different translations, and there was a translation by Richard Pevier, and there's a teapot in the way. There's a teapot in the way. But don't worry, I'm gonna tell you who wrote it later, who translated it in a second. Anyways, so they didn't have it, so I walked back to the city, and then I was thinking, and I think I googled if Readings had it, you know, the chain Readings. It's a small independent chain, and they had it at the State Library. So I went in there, and I went to the classic section, and I looked at the shelf, and then I just, because you see all these red books, because they all look the same, but I just saw one fat one, like a really fattest one. I picked it up, and it was War and Peace. It was like I didn't have to browse like which one was which. I just grabbed the fattest one, and it was War and Peace. Oh, and I'll show you. Here's the brown paper bag that I got from. Cool, huh? And then voila, da-da-da. War and Peace. Actually, the cover that I wanted was like this one. It looks kind of cool, right? But this is the same book. It's by the same translators, who are Richard Pevier and Letissa Volokonsky. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but yeah, look how thick it is. It's pretty cool. So it's like 1,200-ish pages, and so I got it from the State Library, and I decided, because I had time, I think it was like 1:30 in the afternoon, and I thought, I'm just going to read the first chapter. Just sit out here and read it. Just get into it. And so I sat out the front of the State Library, and I like it because I took a photo of the book, and at the front of the State Library of Victoria, Melbourne, Victoria, there's like some statues, and on one side there's a statue of a guy on a horse, like a soldier on a horse, and so I just I saw it, and I thought, I'm going to have that in the background. So that's that way. And that's the State Library in the back. And that's the book. But I thought, because I don't know anything about War and Peace, but I just think, I know it's about, part of it is about war and like Napoleon and stuff. So I figured there might be some soldiers on horseback. So I thought that would be a cool background to put the book rather than just like nothing. So I thought, yeah, that's nice. And so yeah, I read the first chapter, and so it was about some woman. In my head, her name's Pavlova, but it's not Pavlova. It's similar to Pavlova, and she was talking to some guy. And what's funny is like this morning I told you I went to went to go get cronuts with Han, and of all my friends, I just felt like she might be a person who has read War and Peace. So when I got in the car, I just brought it up. I go, have you read War and Peace? And she's like, yes. And I go, is it good? And she goes, yes. And then she started talking about it, and she loves the book. And she said, it's good if you read it now, because there's like a mini-series coming out that's supposed to be really good based on War and Peace. And yeah, she was telling me all this stuff about how she loved it, but she just got bored with the war parts, so she like skimmed through it because she wanted to get back to the characters. And she goes, the characters are really good. So that's kind of like my War and Peace kind of thing. Like that's, I will, because if I want to finish it, I know I will finish it. It could take me a while. I sometimes take ages to finish books, because I read like a little bit at a time. But I have like this book that I'm reading at the moment called The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's like a fantasy book, and I'm like 20% in it. I know I'm 20% in it because I'm reading it on Kindle, and it tells me that I'm 20% in it. And but I want to finish that before I get to this, because if I get to this, The Name of the Wind's gonna have to wait too long. So, but I want to get to this, so I feel like this weekend I just want to like not smash, but read. I would love to read all of Name of the Wind this weekend, and then get to this. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'll try to read a lot of it. Anyways, that's my talk about how I'm decided out of the blue just to read War and Peace, and it's because of a Charlie Brown cartoon. I like that anecdote. So if anyone ever asks me why I'm reading War and Peace, it's because of Charlie Brown. Alright, catch you guys later.